Okay, greetings and welcome. It is Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. This is the Eccentric Perspective. I am your host, Blake Wally. We'll be here for the next 60 to 90 minutes covering the latest news and current events. Wow, do I have a magnificent show lined up for all of you today. Certainly some big stories. So there's the headline. I don't know what should be first. Co-headline: Putin for peace and Israeli immunity. Well, yeah. So there we go. Peace with Putin, and we're going to finish the war with Ukraine. And then there's this crazy story out of Las Vegas with this man, Tom Alexandrovich, perhaps being a naughty boy. And anyway, we'll get into that. Those are two of the key stories I have. Now let's get to the rest of what I have on tap for today's outline. Oh, and I have the date wrong. Shame on me. Actually, I'm in real time. I can change that. There. There we go. Perfect. August 19th. Here we go. So, elites with a rather war that admit they were wrong, and it's anti-Semitic to detain Israel's cyber chief in Vegas, little Tommy boy. And yes, Alexandrovich. Does he deserve freedom and immunity? And because he's part of God's chosen people, perhaps. Okay, Trump's ending mail-in balloting. Is it fascism and not fraud? And then Trump's DC crackdown. Is it endangering the community? And MS Now. Will it bring the left-wing media back to glory? And right-wingers, should they stand up for their leftist cancellations? Be it with Stephen Colbert. Little spoiler alert. And then lastly, quick one, reclassifying marijuana. Will it be a huge political blunder? Some may think. So, of course, let me know what you think. I'd like to sound off on any of these big stories or anything else. Bring something else for show and tell to the class. Or a ruthless criticism, high praise, whatever you want, or maybe show suggestions. Like just give it up already, pack it up and go home. Or should we go up late with Blake? What do we think of that? Should we change the show? Does it deserve more? Does it fit better as a nighttime broadcast? Perhaps a little Kenneth there in Florida. It is kind of late in the day already, so. Maybe it's late from Kenneth's point of view. Not sure if he's still out there, but okay, there you go. There's your feedback. I'm not sure if that's what's intended, but anyway, let's focus here. I'm going to run the very quick intro, and then let's get started on the other side with this huge news day. Although I'm going to try to wrap it up. It's two big ones with some odds and ends. So here we go with the intro. I will see you very shortly. Maybe if I can find the stuff. If I can find my clips. There we go. Okay, here we go. Let's begin. Let's just start. How about modernity, although it's technically from the Vigilant Fox, but whatever. We have President Trump on the after this historic meetup in Alaska last Friday, trying to get a peace deal done finally with Putin and Zelensky, and it seems like there's a lot of good developments on that front. But it seems like there's a big faction that wants this to continue as long as it can. So, but anyway, here's the latest. And of course, Zelensky just met in Washington yesterday, and now there is a new meeting. It's been set up, I guess, apparently. Location to be determined. I believe, somebody said Switzerland. It's usually a historically good spot for it. But we'll see with Putin and Zelensky. Maybe finally finish this out. Apparently, Zelensky is also at least open to giving up some land. That's going to have to be mandatory, or this deal is not going to get done. Otherwise, the whole, from Putin's perspective, the invasion, whether you agree or disagree with that, that was the kind of the big point of it, was taking back some of these lands. So he's not going to walk away without that after all of the battle and all of the efforts to liberate those people, at least from that perspective. So it's just a matter of how much Ukraine is willing to give up. So drawing those lines. So anyway, but big developments, although the media is constantly outraged at Trump. He can never do anything right, no matter what. Let's check out, here's a clip from, I guess it's Brett Baer. Let's roll.
We're just getting word from the wires, and I think this is coming from Truth Social, that the president says he had a very good meeting, that they've begun arrangements for a meeting at a location to be determined between President Putin and President Zelensky. After that meeting takes place, this is a very good early step for a war that's been going on for almost 4 years. There was a call, Mark, between President Trump and President Putin during this meeting, at which time he broke away from the European leaders and President Zelensky and had a call with President Putin directly. And again, the leaders are still there at the White House.
Well, some historic meeting happening. It's pretty amazing. Get the whole world involved, or at least, Europe, Russia, the West. Want to finally finish this off, if we're lucky. But you never know. The media, of course, the media's Ukraine wins fantasy continues costing lives. Yeah, this never should have happened. And when it did happen, it should have ended right away. We all knew what happened. We all kind of had an idea. Putin was there for, his own reasons to, in this case, liberate the people of the eastern and southern regions of Ukraine that would rather be a part of Russia. It's an invasion. But, sorry, I'm babbling, but this has been, framed incorrectly by the media for so long, of our meddling going in there and taking things over in 2014, basically having a coup, putting in different leadership, trying to meddle in with NATO, destroying the Nord Stream pipelines. There's so much of the West that has been meddling in this region as well, going into biolabs, CIA stuff. You're talking about proxy wars, and then constantly trying to poke around with Putin, who we should have just left alone. This could have been solved a long time ago, or never should have happened. And now that it has happened, now that it's time to finish it, is the West going to come to the table and just say, here you go, here's the land, even though they do not want to concede 1 inch to Putin, they may be forced to. Anyway, that was a lot, but okay. So one of those things I'm tired of talking about, but it still continues to this day, although huge developments, and it looks like things are finally trending in the right direction, although some may say things are going to get sabotaged and it's going to continue to cause problems, and it's kind of a moneymaker. And of course, the press isn't going to come in there and admit that they've been wrong about the way that they slammed Putin as though he was going to just invade all of the rest of Europe after he was done. He was going to start with Ukraine and then go for Poland and then continue west and take over everything. But none of that was based in reality. But if the people in eastern and southern Ukraine want to be with Putin, then let them. As far as I'm concerned, it's an ugly divorce. And the people are caught in the middle between their strict and corrupt father in the east with Putin and Russia, or their crazy coke snorting mother who's Zelensky in the west. So they don't like the way they're treated there, and so they'd rather be with their father. And let them do that, or let them vote their way in. How does Putin like his pudding? That is a good question. I don't know if the press asked that. That would have been interesting. Could have gotten a good soundbite out of that. Prefer the Foxy Wars. Yeah, it will be better than the proxy wars. And how much money did we actually put into this conflict that we'll never get back? Oh, there's the minerals deal, and maybe we'll recoup some of our losses. But what a disaster. Does Poland have strip clubs? I would assume so. I don't know. We'll have to take a trip to Poland. Take the East European tour. We'll go check that out. We'll take Instagram pictures. There we go. All right, Kenneth, let's do it. Okay, what else do we have? The media's Ukraine wins fantasy continues costing lives. So Ukrainians may not like the reality of their situation, but they can't afford to live the same fantasy the media keep trying for, as though they're just going to take out Putin, stop it, or even take their land. Nothing was ever based in reality. So they continue to put out the narrative that Putin was ruthless and wanted to take over the Western world. They even blamed him for taking out his own Nord Stream pipelines. It was insane. But that's what they are. Yeah, the corporate propagandists. But there was some pushback on this. So someone needs to tell Margaret Brennan that Volodymyr Zelensky is the leader of a country at war and not, in fact, a lost little boy looking for his mommy. So CBS anchor on Sunday with having a hostile interview with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And she was saying that Trump was going to bully Zelensky because he dared call him out last time because he didn't look too serious. Zelensky showing up to the White House looking all shabby, looking like he was on a big bender for a week, asking for more money and assistance. And actually was surprised to get pushback from Trump, who was not offering a blank check. Of course, the media had a field day. But even people in Ukraine were able to... Everybody in the world saw Ukraine, or that Zelensky was just a selfish little clown asking for more money. Spoiled child. Trump had to say no. Anyway, let's take a look at some of this clip.
You know there is concern from the Europeans that President Zelensky is going to be bullied into signing something away. That's why you have these European leaders coming as backup tomorrow. Can you?
No, it isn't. That's not why they're coming as back. That's not true. No, but that's not why. That's not true. They're not coming here to.
This is the kind of false narratives that they put out. They just love to put out this BS, and then they believe their own BS. Then they confront Rubio about it, who, you know, not historically a big fan of, but he's absolutely right here.
Tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being.
Stupid thing to say. But this is like with the, you know, the NPR crowd is going to hear this kind of stuff, and they believe it without any critical thought whatsoever.
Bullied. They're
Well,
not
that
coming.
February
In fact,
Oval
they're
Office
coming here.
There to prevent Zelensky from being bullied around by Trump. Give me a break. How pathetic is that?
in front of television cameras where President Zelensky.
Do you know how many?
Margaret Brennan is a corporately controlled liar, a professional propagandist who's pushing a propaganda for war efforts for this stupid war that's been dragging on for years.
Meetings we've had since then?
Oh, no, I know. And I was just up in Alaska watching the one with Vladimir Putin where a red carpet rolled out.
No, but it was
and then this is how awful they are. You can't just be like, hey, this is a historic meeting. Oh, now it's, I guess they're showing favoritism to Putin. They're rolling out the red carpet. I mean, just give me a break. These people are just beyond contempt. They are awful. And I just wish this thing would stop. But I mean, it's not like the media is going to admit that they, lied about everything. Much like the Russiagate thing. They're not going to say, yes, oops. Yeah, looks like we were misled by Comey and Brennan and Obama. And we were wrong for 2 years to continue going after interviewing Adam Schiff so he can come out and spew garbage, leaked classified information, try to go after Trump for Russiagate for years. It's the same thing. So I just hope there's a way for their people to realize that they are paid liars, hacks, flacks, and lackeys. I'm not holding my breath yet, but it seems like perhaps these narratives are falling apart. Minerals. Hello, TK Mark. Any arrests? Not yet, but it's been some good developments on that front as well. I don't know if I'm going to put that out. They got a new guy for Bongino, who's supposed to be a interesting character to start cracking down on people. And I know there's a couple of other clips. I just didn't put them in today's broadcast without going into the weeds here. But not worried about the arrests yet. I don't think this is going to be let go. We just haven't. They're going to wait till they have everything together. But after they've accused Trump of, insurrection and banned him off of Twitter and impeached him twice, smeared him for the Russiagate hoax, pushed all the lawfare, the jail, the mugshot, 34 felonies, the accusing him for rape with that wacko Eugene Carroll, raided his home Mar-a-Lago, and then tried to assassinate him. I think he's going to start arresting people at some point, but I could be wrong. But I am sure of it, but I think people need to be patient. Anyway, but that is the running joke. The redheaded president was to visit. Would the red carpet be correct? Interesting question. I don't know if we've had a redheaded president. Redheaded stepchild. Okay, well, I don't know. Okay, let's keep moving, or we can get back to this crazy Margaret Brennan.
Zelensky. We've had more meetings. We've had one meeting with Putin and like a dozen meetings with Zelensky. So, but that's not true. They're not coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're coming here tomorrow because we've been working with the Europeans. We talked to them last week. There were meetings in the UK over the previous weekend.
And they said President Trump was going to demand a ceasefire
as early as Thursday. No. But you said that they're coming here tomorrow to keep Zelensky from being bullied. They're not coming here tomorrow. Oh, this is such a stupid media narrative that they're coming here tomorrow because Trump is going to bully Zelensky into a bad deal. We've been working with these people for weeks on this stuff. They're coming here tomorrow because they chose to come here tomorrow. We invited them to come. We invited them to come. The president invited them to come.
But the president told those European leaders last week.
So just gotta pop the bubble on that media narrative. And that's good. It was on Face the Nation, so hopefully some of the audience gets to see that.
That he wanted a ceasefire. The president went on television, said he would walk out of the meeting if Vladimir Putin didn't agree with one. He said there would be severe consequences if he didn't agree to one. He said he'd walk out in 2 minutes. He spent 3 hours talking to Vladimir Putin, and he did not get one. So there's
because obviously things happened during that meeting. Well,
because the West does not want to concede anything to Putin. They do not want to take this loss. This is humiliating for them. And part of it is why they continue with these lies. They wanted to get away with this stuff. They want to go along with this whole narrative that Putin and Trump are joined at the hip, that Putin stole the election for Trump in 2016, and they're collaborating, they're in cahoots. That Putin's trying to take over Europe and take over the world, and that Trump is a fascist dictator here in the West. If they had their way. But yeah, they would just frame this all together just so that they could get away with it and continue to be the arbiters of truth, give themselves all Pulitzer Prizes, even though they know full well they're just spreading lies. It's amazing. This is like a coup. This is a deep state coup. And these people, I think, some of them are intelligence assets. And I would not be surprised if they dug into Margaret Brennan, and there's another one coming up, Nicole Wallace. But anyway, the other bottom line is that it's just the continued position of hating Trump no matter what. And I know somebody made an example of that. Even if we had funded Ukraine, they had won the war, they took over Moscow, they would still be mad at Trump for something. So Trump is even blasting, the dishonest coverage of the negotiations, which we already know. Just a quick point. Zelensky, of course, showed up Monday. Did show up in a suit, which was an improvement. So that was good, I suppose. And here's the map. Here's one of them, suggesting how they are going to divide everything up. This is the only way they're going to end this thing. It's how much land can they give Putin that Europe and Zelensky are going to be okay with. And I would assume that these darker red regions are the parts that are going to be were Eastern Ukraine and Southern Ukraine. This is the whole Donbass and Crimea region. Those parts are going to have to go to Putin. And I would assume these people want to be part of Russia. Now, these more pink parts, I don't know. But you're talking about taking 1/5 of Ukraine, or do you take 1/3 of Ukraine with all of this territory? So I'm assuming these lighter pink regions are where they are going to have to really have a negotiation, which goes to Russia, and which are going to continue to stay in Ukraine. But I can't see them giving up that much territory. But if they keep prolonging the war, then Putin is just going to take it all. I don't know if he wants the Western Ukraine, because as much as they lie about him trying to take Ukraine over and then go to Poland and whatever, it would be so difficult to take over lands that are full of people that don't want to be a part of your culture. So, whereas these regions are going to welcome Putin and welcome Russia. Anywho, it's a mess, but there's close. And now there's at least they've finally admitted in Ukraine that they are going to have to give up some parts. I guess here's a little breakdown. Here's a table of where there's still, a lot of room for negotiations. So you can't have NATO. So the U.S. has agreed, well, on the territory. Ukraine, of course, wants to keep the pre-war borders. Russia has pretty much said they got to have the South and the East. I'm not sure what the U.S. is allowing here. Is it part of Donbass and Crimea, but not the other regions? And then no for NATO. Ukraine cannot be as part of NATO because it's a security issue for Putin. And of course, aid. Ukraine wants U.S. and European aid for their security. Russia's opposed to that. So anyway, I think they've kind of broken down and simplified what's at stake here with this table. They're saying that a swift peace deal remains unlikely given the continued gulf here between Kyiv and Moscow. But there are meetings. There are things happening. Okay, spoiler alert. One day before meeting with Trump at the White House, Zelensky now says Ukraine's constitution makes ceding land to Russia impossible. Well, that's not a good faith negotiation. The problem with Zelensky here is he's really running out of soldiers, running out of resources, especially without U.S. backing him. Doesn't have a lot of room. So it's time to concede it. So Russia now controls about 20% of Ukrainian land mass. So here it is right here. Here's another table. This is pretty much similar to the one I showed before. This is where Russia is. And they just want to clean up those regions, take the rest, and then I don't know how much else they want. I don't assume they would want any more land unless the people want to be a part of Russia. And just let the people vote. Here's Glenn Greenwald saying DC foreign policy elites know Ukraine can't win, but they would rather continue fueling the war than admit they were wrong and delusional about Ukraine's prospects against Russia. They never had a chance, and everybody knew it. So we could have saved a hell of a lot of money and a lot of lives by trying to force these parts of Ukraine to stay with Ukraine. So let's listen to a part of this.
None of these people thought they were going to win this war, not by 2024 anyway. Some of them were delusional enough to still in 2023 think it was possible. That was when the great surge was coming, the counteroffensive from all the people who promised a surge in Iraq. But by 2024, it became very apparent the Ukrainians had no ability to expel the Russians. The front line, in fact, was moving in the wrong direction from the Western perspective. And they will just stand up in line and say, yeah, we're getting there. We're probably going to win. We think we can really win. Here is a top U.S. general testifying before the U.S. Senate. This is June of 2025. So this is just a couple of months ago.
Let me ask this question. This Ukraine-Russia war has been going on for a long time. A lot of people killed. We've spent a lot of money. Can Ukraine win?
Senator, I think Ukraine can win. I think anytime your own homeland is threatened, you fight with a tenacity that's difficult for us to conceive of if we haven't found ourselves in that same situation.
Yeah, they have absolutely fought hard. You got to give it to them.
Okay, well, there you go. There's your political elites, military-industrial complex, and the war machine, assuaging the politicians' concerns here. All systems go. Yes, Ukraine can win. Telling them what they want to hear. Let's give them another, I don't know how many hundreds of billions of dollars. The blank check for so many years. How'd that work out? I don't know if I could post some of this, can I? But very colorful suggestions. Russia is as Russia does. I guess which country would you rather live in if you were there? I don't know. That's a tough one. Very different culture. Well, let them decide. That's all I care about. Not forcing all those people to stay within some structure they don't like. Just because Zelensky says that ceding land makes it impossible according to their constitution. Who said that was permanent? Anyway, something we never should have gotten involved in, but here we are. Okay. Why does it keep doing that? And I live in tenacity. Tennessee? All right. Anywho, let's go back. Let's go to another hack here. It's an intelligence asset, most likely. Trump blasting MSNBC's Nicole Wallace after a fiery on-air critique of the Putin meeting, and said she's afraid of losing her job, fueling her little fascist fantasies, and that she'll be fired soon. But hilariously, Trump referred to her as the Typhoid Mary of disinformation. She's a loser with bad ratings who was thrown off The View. I don't remember if she was on The View. I would have to see some of that. She's just a terrible journalist, which makes it seem as though she's not very objective. And it seems that she's paid to sell the programming. So here we go.
Much having sort of had the privilege of interviewing a lot of Ukrainians, and I know, Ali, you've been there. It's so much to watch our country's president stand with the person responsible for all that suffering and all that death. It's just heinous, and it's not just Bucha. I mean, it's indiscriminate strikes on apartments that kill not enough innocent civilians to dominate the headlines for days and days. But it's the terror. It's the terror of sending your kid off to school because you want life to be somewhat normal. But you know that any day Russia could bomb anywhere in Ukraine. I mean,
what the hell is she talking about? I don't know. It's anything to just smear Putin. Now it's just what he's going to kill civilians. But this is par for the course for crazy Nicole.
Life to be somewhat normal. But you know that any day Russia could bomb anywhere in Ukraine. I mean, it's watching them scrape and struggle to get an American president who supported them to give them all the weapons they needed to go toe-to-toe with Russia. And to see all that potentially erased by an American president who just doesn't give a shit about democracy. He doesn't care about our allies. He doesn't care about a democratic
So what is the alternative here? We just give them unlimited money and resources, or maybe should we get American boots on the ground? Like, there's going to be a world war against Putin? I mean, she's nuts. These are the people that are influential over our foreign policy with people. I don't know. I don't know how many people actually pay attention. And MSNBC is no longer MSNBC anymore. So maybe not. Yeah, her ratings are awful. No one cares what she's saying. Just propaganda for the elites so they can believe it in their bubble. But there's a massive reality check happening. As Putin might actually be a much more reasonable and principled person than they try to make it out to be. But again, they're not going to ever admit that they were wrong about everything. Okay, here's another colorful personality, Jasmine Crockett, calling on Trump to quit beating Putin's hoe.
If you could tell Donald Trump anything tonight, what would you tell him?
I would tell him to grow a spine and stop being Putin's hoe.
She's a national treasure, isn't she? Oh my God, that's embarrassing. You think it's just like if you're just asking some random person on the street or something, they might give an answer like that. This is supposed to be a sitting congresswoman. An embarrassment and a potential frontrunner for the new radical leftist Democrat Party. The network formerly known as MSNBC. Oh, we got one more, although probably should have been fired. Should have resigned in shame. Should have apologized to the American people for his role covering up in Biden's decline. MSNBC's Morning Joe Scarborough dropping a truth bomb about the Ukraine war. So, shocking clip here. Let's go.
By the way, let's underline two things here. Just again, to set expectations, to be realistic. Even during the Biden administration, every Biden official, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, said they're going to have to give up land. They're not going to like giving up land, but they're going to have to give up land, number one. Number two, they're not going to become members of NATO. There may have been people writing articles in the Wall Street Journal or elsewhere saying they have to be members of NATO, but you go around to every European leader, that was never going to happen. But there was an idea of a quasi-NATO type guarantee, and they need that guarantee. And if they get that guarantee, if they have the guarantee that Putin's not going to reload and then come back in, that would be considered, I think, at the end, a win for Ukraine, would it not?
Okay. Well,
by the way, let's underline two things here.
Quick one.
They're not going to become members of NATO.
So there we go. It wasn't that hard. Maybe Nicole Wallace could take notes. No, I mean, she gets her notes from the CIA or something. So she's on her own script. But yeah, that it wasn't that hard. Gonna have to give up land, and they can't join NATO. Real easy. We could have done this a few years ago. I mean, they even went as far as destroying the Nord Stream pipelines, hurting the economy of Europe to do this. All to smear Putin, blamed it on him. It's bad. Okay, they've done a lot of destruction. Will the leftists? Will these? It's not even just the leftists here. It's it's right wing too. The DC elites, they love the war machine. Proxy war with Ukraine, something to weaken Russia, but all they did was actually embolden Russia. Well, now they're going to use that as an excuse why they can't concede any land, because they don't want to concede, embolden Putin, because they might want more. But is it true? Should we believe any of these people anymore? Yeah, NATO. It's time to defund NATO, let them do their own thing in Europe, and we're out. We're checking out. We've had enough. We've done our part. That was mostly under Biden. Now we got to walk away. Speaking of somebody who should walk away, James Comey speaking in Taylor Swift lyrics in an unhinged anti-Trump screed. I think he would have a PR team by now, or even his wife, to be like second guess anything that he tries to post on social media is probably not good. He's getting shredded on this one. There's a weirdo clip he made. I guess he's a huge Swiftie, which is unusual. Whatever, to each their own. But it's strange to see the former like top cop in the country admitting to being a big fanboy of Taylor Swift. But here we are. I don't know if I want to play any of this. God, he's weird. He was talking about how he's Taylor Swift inspires him and how she helps him deal with Trump. I mean, that is TDS to the extreme. I mean, he makes a freaking seashell sculpture that he put on an Instagram post about 8647. He's so consumed by his guilt and shame for what he did as the FBI director, undermining the incoming president of the United States, getting him involved in a massive scandal and a fishing expedition. Now he's here. I guess he's like a like Taylor Swift is like his imaginary friend or something. This is weird. I don't know how much should I play this. Oh goodness.
I'm in a family's Swiftie group chat. I know all her music and I listen
So Barry knows all her music. I mean, dude, you're a grown ass man. I mean, is that the I don't care if these can be grown ass, they can be men that like Taylor Swift, but making this video and trying to tie it into Trump, making it politicized, this is where it just gets so weird and kind of creepy.
It in my headphones when I cut the grass. So yes, I have a favorite of hers, although honestly for me...
What the hell, dude? He's out there on his lawnmower listening to Taylor Swift music. There's something very disturbing about that.
It's a tie between All Too Well, 10-minute version, and Exile featuring Bon Iver.
Look, he's all plugging all of his favorite music bands. What the hell is happening, man? Is this a dream? Can I wake up from this? James Comey, kind of a prison homie. Hasn't been any arrests made, but if there's going to be arrests, I think I think he's having a mental breakdown. He's been on one for a long time. He knows the walls are closing in. It's TikTok. I don't know what the point is, but I guess if you start losing your mind, you might think this is a good idea, but at the same time, you'd think you'd have a lawyer, a PR team, maybe run it by your wife. Like, hey, honey, do you think should I post this video I made of me talking about Taylor Swift and how her struggle reminds me of my struggle with Trump? I mean, it's just so bizarre. Yeah, fanboy. Picture that. Comey, like practically 7 feet tall, just sitting up on his lawnmower, riding the lawnmower, listening to Swiftie, little tears in his eyes, and he just, yeah, oh, you speak through me. I don't know. Not my thing. Maybe I'm the one that's weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something.
Taylor Swift has grown up with my family and provided us a soundtrack, really, as we've grown ourselves and learned and adapted and dealt with adversity and celebration. She had songs for all of it.
Oh my God. Just a sad man. I don't know. I don't hear lyrics very well. I like the guitars and things like that. I love music, but usually lyrics don't add, they usually subtract for me. So I don't really even know half the time what they're saying. So I guess I can't relate to that. Being just touched by the words and relating. I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, not a swift move, James. I think he needs to smoke some grass. And that's gonna be coming up. Marijuana, whether they should declassify it or not. I think maybe it's James Comey. He needs to smoke some grass, and that will make your perspective change on music. Perhaps you can be like, "What am I listening to Taylor Swift for when there's all this other music out there?" That's what I loved about Pandora and Spotify and exploring all of the stuff that's out there. But, some people like to stick to their tried and true, and that's cool too. Yes, Kenneth, I am a huge music snob. And I've got my Spotify list with my, 2,000 some songs on there. Big fan. Oh yeah, so I would absolutely welcome your playlist. If you got like a Spotify list or something like that, something you could send me, yeah, I'd definitely. I know you used to be a DJ, so that's cool. I do like a lot of trip hop. The Dramatic, the Wax Taylor, the Pretty Lights, the Opio, stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. DJ stuff. Okay, and hello, Rob. Great to have you here. I'm lagging a little bit. I got to get focused here. We're on the top story here. We're on a little musical detour. But thanks for stopping in, Rob. It was good to have you. Okay, let's keep continuing. I think I'm done with Comey here. But that was tying into the Russia thing. I don't want to continue much further with that one. Actually, that is the last item on that one, that particular topic. So here we go. Elites would rather war than admit they were wrong. Yeah, clearly. It's just hate Trump. Don't concede anything to Putin. Give Ukraine everything they want. And then they can hand themselves Pulitzer Prizes. Or they give a Nobel Prize to Nicole Wallace or James Comey or Volodymyr Zelensky. And they can, yes, be the heroes, even though they perpetuated this war. Anywho. There we go, Kent. Yeah, hit me up on, I don't know where, social media. I see you on Facebook sometimes. So if you want to message me there or Twitter or wherever, yeah, I'll take a zip drive. I'm always on the lookout for fresh stuff. I enjoy finding new music. That's what I really like is the gem. I'm not really big into the mainstream that everybody likes Taylor Swift. Everybody likes Coldplay. I don't. I like, stuff that's a little bit more, I guess, underrated. The gems. Okay. Chill and such music. There we go. Okay, well, let's move on. So, next one. This is going to be kind of a two-parter. Israel. Is it anti-Semitic to detain Israel's cyber chief in Vegas? And Tom Alexandrovich, does he deserve freedom and immunity? Well, this is a huge story. You also won't see this on mainstream media, even though it is a massive story on Twitter X. Here's the latest. This is a good development. Nevada's Attorney General says that Pam Bondi is outraged after Israel's top cyber chief fled the United States without surrendering his passport following arrest for luring a minor online, saying that he must be returned immediately to face justice. So this was just over this weekend. On Monday night, we have this lady named Sigal Shatta. It's a U.S. attorney for the District of Nevada. Sounded the alarm after a shocking betrayal of justice, allowing alleged child molester to escape accountability. Bondi was not pleased. So now there's a blame game. Everybody's trying to point fingers for this inexcusable event. So the Gateway Pundit reported Monday that Tom Artyom Alexandrovich is the head of the Technological Defense Division at the Israel National Cyber Directorate, was arrested in Vegas on suspicion of attempting to lure minors for sexual purposes. So, imagine that. This is a high level right under Bibi Netanyahu. Major player. It's like, I don't know if it's like equivalent of NSA, but it's a big position. Was caught in Las Vegas trying to solicit a teen, apparently, for sex. Just, it's hard to believe, but it happened. And then he's already in Israel. He was arrested and then only released on a $10,000 bail. Well, let's get, I'm getting ahead of myself. So according to the Las Vegas Metro Police, he was caught attempting, to solicit sex from a minor electronically or on his computer during a multi-agency sting operation targeting child predators. So kudos to the Trump administration, Bondi, Kash Patel, Trump, going after the predators. Now, yes, I can complain that they didn't do anything with the Epstein yet, but they are going after some of these people all over the country, stings, and they're getting a lot of people shaking them down. But they ensnared a very high level person in this last one. And like, oh, we just caught like a major Israeli official in this. And then all of a sudden, mysteriously, he gets away and he's back in Israel. So I don't know. Well, we're finding out what's next, because now the public is, of course, pissed off, as they should be. So this guy was booked in the Henderson Detention Center and then shockingly released by a Nevada state judge on a measly $10,000 of bail, and without requiring him to surrender his passport. That should have been like the standard procedure. But like, oh, you're an Israeli national. Like, yeah, you're a flight risk. Yeah, you just got caught messing around, trying to solicit sex from a minor. Like, yeah, you're going to take your passport away. You're going to stay right here and find a lawyer because you're in a lot of trouble. How the hell did he get out of that? So the Nevada Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force confirmed the bust. It was part of, multi-agency op with Las Vegas Metro, FBI, Homeland Security, also the other police in that area, and the Nevada Attorney General's office, and they caught 8 predators. All of those guys, I believe, are in jail, except one. There he is. These are all felony charges. So after this questioning, he returned to his hotel and then flew back to Israel 2 days later. So he just got to go back. He was there for like a hacking conference, because that's what he's into. Cyber cyber stuff. So Netanyahu's office quickly released a statement denying the employee had ever been arrested, which is a par for the course. Bibi lies about pretty much everything. And somebody has to be held accountable for this one. So a state employee traveled to the U.S. for professional matters, questioned by American authorities, and then the employee who does not hold a diplomatic visa was not arrested and returned to Israel as scheduled. They're trying to sweep this under the rug, but it is not going away. Even though the mainstream media is not covering it, this has exploded all over social media so far that I can see. Now, Attorney General Pam Bondi was reportedly furious, but it's unknown so far who actually authorized this and how high a level it went. Let's keep going. Oh, thank you, Kenneth. Just Facebook me. I'll be on the lookout for that. Yeah, well, they're going to try to take all of Gaza. They want their Greater Israel project. And it's not about winning over hearts and minds to a superior cultural, civilization. It's going to be by military conquering with the aid of the United States. But people have gotten wise to that. You know what, Ken? I'm not a big pop fan, but I do like some of those. I'll admit I do like some of those Lady Gaga songs. They are kind of fun and kind of hypnotic. And that Alejandro, yeah, that's one of them. I like that. Yeah, we're all good. I'm not a big fan of. I don't know. I get nothing personal against Taylor Swift. I'm just not a big fan of the music. Anyway, let's. We'll get back here. All righty. Well. So this U.S. Attorney Shatta, it turns out, is also an Israeli national. But let's go in piece by piece here. So the U.S. Department releases a statement after Israel's top security chief was released following an arrest. So this is not just some mistaken identity. Don't be fooled by Bibi. This is a really bad dude. This is a 38-year-old man in Vegas, a high-level Israeli official, I don't know, like the NSA chief, at a hacking conference. Cool. All that's fine. There's a lot of women in Vegas. There's a lot of people in Vegas. I don't know. I don't know if he's gay or straight or whatever. I don't even care. Because some people are saying it was a little girl, it was a little boy. It doesn't matter. You're trying to hook up. You're trying to talk to a minor and try to get them away from their parents so that you can get them into your little room there and do God knows what and get away with it. I don't know. I don't understand the mentality, but this is a predator that needs to be in prison. And this should be an outrage for everybody that this man is not. And I don't know if they can extradite him out of Israel now that he's gone. So they just let this high-level guy off the hook. This is your deep state. I mean, Epstein is awful, but I mean, this guy here knows some stuff. I mean, if he's into the cyber, that means he probably is well aware of how the dark web works with all of the child pornography and all of that stuff that's out there. This guy would know. You're talking about people worried about Israel, the Mossad, blackmailing politicians. This guy would probably have a lot to. He would know quite a bit about stuff like that. Maybe that's why he's there. He's compromised. They know he can be controlled. He knows how all that works. He's into that community. But I mean, the audacity I mean, you're in Vegas. There are all kinds of people you could be hooking up with. There's people partying, having fun, whether you're gay or straight or whatever. There's something out there for you. But why are you out there trying to pick up on minors? Trying to get them get kids separated from their parents so you can take advantage of them while you're on your little vacation, and then you're just going to head back to Israel like nothing happened? I mean, that's psychotic. I mean, it's insane. I don't know why we tolerate this. But I hope Bondi's outraged, and I hope that he can face justice. I hope they can take him back to Vegas, and they need to start digging into whoever authorized his release. All of those people need to be exposed. Just inexcusable. And now that everybody knows, I mean, now the pressure's got to be on. So people are pointing the fingers at this lady here. The attorney for Nevada, she's born in Israel, and she declines to prosecute the Israeli arrested in the child predator sting, passing the case to a local district attorney. So she's announced she's not going to prosecute sex crime suspect Tom Alexandrovich, leaving it to local prosecutors, where it is far less likely to be successful, given that he was allowed to leave the country. So even like the Israeli press was reporting all this. But I'm yet to see it on Fox or, just American broadcasts in general. I don't think MSNBC or anybody's talking about this. CNN ain't going to be on NPR. So the Israeli-born acting U.S. attorney, yes, she's not going to do anything. We wonder why. But so it also turns out, here's a big update. She deleted her entire personal account. So they've had to archive, because now that they're digging in, now they're trying to find out, why did this guy get released? Did it have something to do with her? A fellow Israeli? But it turns out her social media profile was full of awful things that she wrote about Gaza and her unwavering support of IDF and anything they did over there. So here's some of the screenshots talking about the 2 million terrorists in Gaza. She's saying they're all Hamas. She's dismissing the fact that 33,000 Palestinians back then have been killed. Oh, that's too bad. There would be zero if they had released the hostages. So she is very politically active and not shy about her opinions and her support for the Zionist Israelis. And now she just so she's just like a spy, basically, on the inside. Kind of reminds me, I just watched The Departed, the Scorsese flick with Jack Nicholson, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, and Marky Mark. The Irish Mob. Everybody was all like connected, whether it was like the police department or the mob or the feds, and everyone's like infiltrating each other. And this is kind of like what happened. So like one of their own. So it seems like nice. Okay, let's hire an Israeli prosecutor in Nevada. That's great. Until this high-level Israeli official gets caught in a serious crime, and then she just lets him off the hook, allegedly. I mean, it's looking like she's the one that's guilty. That's the most obvious culprit in this. So they're protecting their own. It's wild. Here we go. Israeli official arrested. Sting. Trump administration intervenes to set him free. This was a couple days ago. So that's just they're pointing fingers. So did it come from above? Or did it come from this lady? So, yeah, he's a high-level guy. Thrilled to have presented to the Prime Minister today. So he did a special presentation. It makes me wonder does Bibi Netanyahu know that this guy is a child predator? I would say he probably does. That makes him very effective, is because he's compromised. So, anyway, let's keep rolling. There's a little breakdown here from a Substack showing the charges and maybe trying to figure out why. The conclusion here, we'll just say the official story is that he posted bail without a judge's approval, but the docket tells a more complicated tale. There was a preset bail that schedule opened the door, and a local judge, Barbara Shifalakwa, chose not to close it. So whether her decision was independent or nudged by powerful figures like Shahab, Bondi, or Patel is the question still unanswered. But for now, what is certain is that this Alexandrovich, facing charges, walked free and left the U.S., a glaring failure of both local justice and international accountability. And as the viral public outrage grows, the Attorney General just alleged it was the failure of the state judge. But then she deleted her account. And it also adds up with the facts that the state judge was the only official with jurisdiction over the case. But yeah, it says that, again, it's the Attorney General there. Or it's the Shata, who seems to be the most likely who was involved in it. Okay, Marjorie Taylor Greene on a rampage about this. 2 recent decisions by the State Department both involve children. We need to be the America that allows war-torn children to come here for life-saving surgeries, and the America that never releases a foreign child sex predator. But in this circumstance, those war-torn children from Gaza and this foreign child sex predator is from Israel and works directly for Netanyahu. So, would it be anti-Semitic to drag Netanyahu's cyber executive director back and prosecute this piece of shit to the full extent of the law, and at the same time let Palestinian kids who had their limbs and bodies blown apart receive surgeries in America? So there were Palestinian children trying to get medical visas so that they could come to the United States because, you know, Israel blew up all the hospitals in Gaza. They have nowhere to go. And we could argue that they should go to other countries closer in the vicinity and afford the treatments. Laura Loomer went on a rampage about that, exposing it, saying, why are we bringing these people in? And so they stopped it. So, but that's a good point. Shouldn't we be saving kids, whether we, I don't know, or let them all die because they all voted for Hamas? I mean, I don't know. It's the way they want to frame this stuff. So we let wounded children, collateral damage in Israel, from Israel, in Gaza. We refuse them medical treatment. And then we take a child predator, one of the most high-level dangerous people that we've ever found. Like, this is the kind of stuff you would think it would be on the Epstein list. It's like, oh yeah, the chief cyber guy for Israel is a bad guy. You need to investigate, look at his hard drive, find out who he's talking to, and shake him down and start going after other players. But it's not what's happening. It's like Zelensky and John Belushi, Blues Brothers. How much for a little girl? Yeah. What a scumbag. Yeah, but the problem, Rob, is that he's in Israel. He's going to be protected, and we're not going to be able to extradite him. and they actually have like some kind of an immunity over there, even with like child predators. And there's a bunch of them that they can go to Israel and they don't care. They don't have the same laws. It sucks. But yeah, that's what should happen. They should find out. Well, fortunately, it was just all made up. But I mean, if there actually was a child involved, because chances are, I mean, he has done stuff like this before. This isn't like the first time he did it. Like, this is a predator. He's definitely messed with somebody's kids. That's his MO. And he gets off on it. Oh, look at that. I'm all clever. I'm gonna try to grab this kid away from their parents so I can have sex with them, ruin their life forever. And there's nothing they can do about it. But yeah, they should, if they found out that he victimized anybody, they should let the father spend some time in the cage with him. I'd be okay with that. I think that's fair. Maybe search on Yahoo. Okay. All right, let's move on. Sean King, who I'm not a big fan of, but he's doing a good job. He's on a crusade now trying to expose this child sex pervert. But he's taking a lot of backlash for it. Apparently, he's not the most credible guy. He's a leftist activist. Seems to have been kind of under the radar for a while. But he's emerged on this one, so he's he's warning everybody here and saying in the past 24 hours, his wife, who's a school principal, is at every social media account and her laptop hacked into, even with two-factor. And all of this has happened since he's started documenting the scandal around Israeli pedophile Tom Alexandrovich. So yeah, the world-class cyber hackers at Mossad are part of Israel. They call it the Iron Dome, the Iron Cyber Dome. Yeah, they would have the capacity to start going after these guys. They got to be running scared now. No, they're being exposed. So rather than just give this guy up, they're just going to try to sweep it under the rug and target their opposition. And then they're even pressuring Twitter to delete tweets. They're trying to delete things off the internet now that are critical of Israel. It's crazy. Okay, here's the reality. He posted bail, did not stand before a judge, but Nevada law requires a judge to make a ruling if he is set free, even if temporarily. So, yeah, it's time to investigate Nevada. Find out how that was allowed to happen. Twitter is now admitting Israel demanded the removal of Sean King's tweets. So a foreign government is telling us what we can and cannot post on social media platforms. Just another tweet from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why did our government release a child sex predator who works directly for the Prime Minister of Israel? Netanyahu's lying and denying. And why isn't Mark Levin pitching a hissing fit over it? And why isn't Laura Loomer rage posting about this and then claiming she broke the story? Yeah, she's been insufferable lately with her Zionist agitprop. But anywho, so we all know Health Ranger Mike Adams, they're telling you who they are, and then they let the pedos go free. So here's an interesting video from Max Blumenthal, who pulled this out, showing this AG, who looks like she's the culprit here.
The radical left is burning down our country and attacking Jews in the streets, and Ilhan Omar is fanning the flame. I'm Sigal Chattah, an Israeli-born lawyer running to be America's #1 conservative attorney general. I'll stand up to Ilhan Omar and take her team to court for defunding our police, opening our borders, and teaching our kids to hate each other based on the color of their skin. I need your help. The left is pouring money into this seat so they can put more criminals on the streets. Can you chip in $25?
Anyway, some of it sounds good. But here's the drawback. If she's Israeli born, then she's loyal to Israel. And here's where she came in real handy. Like in The Departed, to get your squeaky clean infiltrator to get into a high level in the state police, thwart investigations, sabotage everything from within. You got your inside man. Well, this is Israel's inside lady. She's serving her purpose. Somebody big gets in trouble, she can come in as an operative and come through. So, lesson there, I suppose. But maybe she's going to be facing some consequences for that, because this has got to be a line in the sand. Red line. He cannot get away from this. Dude, Vada. Okay, let's move. Even Brett Weinstein's out on this. I don't know where to begin with this story. An alleged sexual predator of children. The State Department seems unfazed. Or the fact that he fled. The Israeli regime clearly doesn't care either, failing to arrest him. Netanyahu downplaying it. This is the face of evil. There are two kinds of people in the world. Those are fine with violence against innocents, so long as the victims are somebody else's children. And there are those who detest all violence visited upon innocents, no matter whose children they might be. But what if they're God's chosen? What if they're God's chosen children? They can get away with whatever they want. He can go and mess with your goyim peasantry. Take advantage of them. It's a special class. So, anyway, this should be an interesting battle because it's shifted from the woke leftists to the now it's the Zionists. But anyway, this should be an epic battle for the future of humanity. Here's yes, this is U.S. Attorney Chattah before she deleted her posts. That's why she's getting called out. Why did you delete your personal account? Anyway, we'll keep going. It's a lot on this one. Yeah, that's where she deleted her account. Keep moving. How about this one? Stu Peters had an interesting question for Grok, saying if the federal government was serious about prosecuting this Alexandrovich for attempting to rape a handicapped American child. I don't know if they were handicapped or not. I think it was they're either a minor or they're disabled in some way, but you're basically taking advantage of somebody. Could the Trump administration request an Interpol red notice through the DOJ or FBI to bring them back? Grok says yes, if the federal prosecutors secure an arrest warrant, the DOJ could request an Interpol red notice via the U.S. National Central Bureau to locate and provisionally arrest him for extradition. Good luck getting that done, but it is possible. This person saying it's a sanctuary nation for pedophiles. In some ways, it is. At least if you're, Jewish Zionist, yeah, you can. You're they're coming after you in another country, you can, flee to Israel and you'll be protected. Sucks, but that's the way. I wonder if they could get an explanation on that one. So, but at least that gives us some hope. Yeah, Health Ranger Mike Adam right on there. Yeah, the police. So they were trying to get some low-level offenders, but they found a big one. They found a fish that was just too big for the net, and they let him go. But now the pressure's on. Alex Rosen, who makes a living now busting down these pedo criminals, saying, yeah, the only swamp creature that actually gets arrested for a sex crime just got let go. It's pretty sickening. Meanwhile, Marco Rubio, State Department, has revoked 6,000 student visas over crime and support for terrorism. So they're cracking down on supposed anti-Semitism on campuses, even though I don't really think there's any violence or anything, but somebody got shoved. Somebody had their coffee knocked out of their hand. So they're going to get their visa revoked. Crack down on that, but it's a double standard. Anyway. Bibi meet his wife on Yahoo. I just want to see Bibi, meet his new cell at the Hague. Let the ICC prosecute him. Okay, that's all I've got. Okay, those are the two major stories. Now I can kind of go after some of those little ones, and then we'll call it a day. I'm already at 121 in. Okay, back to the headlines. So is it anti-Semitic to detain Israel's cyber chief in Vegas? Absolutely not. Don't care who he is. He doesn't look Semite anyway. Which seems to be a case with a lot of these Zionists that look like they're more of Eastern Europeans masquerading as Semites. Okay, Alexandrovich, does he deserve freedom and immunity? No, he deserves extradition and punishment. Deserves to be made an example of. Deserves to have his house raided and to search all of his hard drives and anything else. This is a dangerous guy. Okay, next one. How about Trump ending mail-in balloting? Is it fascism, not fraud? This is funny. This is a leftist politician, Ruben Gallego. Let me find it. Senator. So this is the guy, really. This is who beat, I already forgot her name. In Arizona, Carrie Lake. Ruben Gallego. He's the leftist mouthpiece. He's saying our soldiers deployed overseas vote by mail. Yeah, they rigged the election. They didn't want Carrie Lake to get in, so they bring in this hack to say stuff like this. To criticize Trump because Trump wants to get rid of mail-in voting. He's calling it fraud. And he's getting roasted for this because he's saying our soldiers deployed. He falsely says this has got something to do with the soldiers, but he's confusing two different things. Mail-in voting is not the same as absentee voting. Like, there is no point for mail-in voting unless you're not in the States. And then you do absentee. There's no reason to do it. They normalized it for the COVID thing. But now they're trying to, hey, it worked out really well for them. It's very easy to just go and stuff ballots. It's just ballot stuffing. very easy to commit fraud. But here we go.
So between paper ballots, very, very important, paper ballots, and I think maybe even more important, the mail-in voting. We're going to end mail-in voting. It's a fraud. If you have mail-in vote, even Jimmy Carter with this commission, they set it up. He said the one thing about mail-in voting, you will never have an honest election if you have mail-in. And it's time that the Republicans get tough and stop it, because the Democrats want it. It's the only way they can get elected. Because with men and women's sports and with transgender for everybody and open borders and all of the horrible things, and now the new thing is they love crime. They're fighting me on the fact that I've made Washington, D.C. safe. We're not going to get mugged, beaten up, or killed like all the people you've been watching get so badly hurt. I'm glad, I hate to take your time with this, but I'm glad you asked me that question. We're going to stop mail-in ballots because it's corrupt. So between,
which is interesting because that was like during the Zelensky meeting, and you would think you'd stay on topic. It was off topic, but it was something Trump was happy to talk about, as he should. That was absolutely the most shady, ridiculous thing ever with that mail-in balloting stuff. And that was a rare exception due to a pandemic or plandemic. But let's take a look at why that is so important. Well, first of all, before I get there, I'll just point out the people that were roasting him, saying, yeah, it's absentee voting is much different than mail-in voting. And you're a senator and you don't know the difference between mail-in ballots and absentee ballots. Good God, you're a moron. Yeah, I don't even know his history. You've only got 100 senators. I don't know where they find some of these people. You would think you'd have to do so many terms as a congressperson first and then maybe go to Senate. But this is just totally rigged. That's an AstroTurf candidate if I've ever seen one. They just had to beat Kerry Lake. And they had to put in some stooge that's going to go along with whatever crazy agenda they have. And of course, they don't want integrity in the elections, especially in Arizona, where they've got a lot of problems. But speaking of which, there's he's caught this guy in Michigan, Dropbox camera ballot stuffing fraud. So this is why they're saying ballot dumps are suspicious. Election law requires ballots be dropped off by the voter, a member of the voter's family, or the voter's household. Where normally you should just show up in person and show an ID and use a paper ballot. Sounds easy enough. Here we go.
To see how these alleged ballot harvesters would...
Okay, well, that's not the clip I'm looking for. I've got another one. Here's so he's under investigation, but here it is. As this is in Hamtramck, Michigan. City councilman under investigation for election fraud shows him depositing stacks of ballot at a drop box days before the primary election, and he won by just a few dozen votes. Of course, Democrats say this never happens, but it does happen. If they didn't care, then they wouldn't be fighting against common sense initiatives for ensuring integrity at the elections. So he's actually in the passenger spot, the guy that got elected, and he's handing this to his driver, running an errand and saying, here, why don't you drop these off for me so I can steal the election? Stacks, so it's not just one, it's multiple. So do they go back? Do they check the signatures? Do they check the canvassing and make sure that people actually filled those out? Are they legitimate? You can just grab a bunch of blank ballots, fill them out for people, and stuff it and win an election. And if you get enough of those, you can swing an election like in Maricopa County. All the Trump swing states in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Georgia. Yeah, no mailing it in. Absolutely not. It has to be an exception. Like, in rare cases should you ever be allowed to mail it in. Yeah, a lot of them are morons. I don't know. And there's got to be some better screening for senator. I don't think anybody should be. I don't know if like a guy like Ruben Gallego, like did he just go from like a citizen? I don't know. Maybe he was in the state Congress. I would just think there would be some like prerequisites for anyone to just become a senator. I would think you'd have to be a congressperson first, congressman. Serve a few terms, kind of show you know what to do, and then you could advance to Senate. I don't know. But perhaps I'm just old-fashioned. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Go to con man to congressman. As they say, is the what's the opposite of progress? Congress, yeah. Okie dokie. Alrighty. Yeah, definitely. Need to count the votes by hand. Need to do it up the counting by hand job in Michigan. Here we have it. Yeah, there you go. That's how they do it. Trump vows the movement to eliminate mail-in ballots before the midterms. We already watched the clip, so there you go. Okay, moving along. We'll dovetail that into Trump's DC crackdown is endangering the community, because he also mentioned that in that clip. Yeah, he can never do right. The leftists or the media, they're always going to find fault with whatever happens. So Trump decided that he was wanting to crack down in DC. Sick of the crime and the homelessness. It should be like a touristy place where everybody in the country comes, celebrate, our great country. And instead they show up and it's crime and homeless encampments everywhere. So you're federalizing the police or bringing exactly the technicalities, which you can do there in DC, since it is a federal piece of land. So they went for a crackdown, and it's having good results. So even Elon was impressed. So DC crime since the announcement of the federal control versus the 7 days prior. So they're announcing, robbery gone down 46%, carjacking down 83%. Just all crimes in general, 8% just in a week. Federal assistance giving them a boost. They must repeal misguided comprehensive policing. Or policing. Interesting clip here. Showing that the oddity, showing that the black community who is most affected by these poor areas of the crime happening, they want this to happen. They're not the one. He's saying that they're not the ones protesting. He finds it odd that the big protests that are happening in D.C. against Trump and his fascist overreach, it's all a bunch of like white liberals. But the black people that are actually in these communities that are sick of watching their neighborhoods turn to shit, and they can't be safer anywhere, they're embracing it. This is good for them. I mean, depending on who you talk to. Because what do? It's kind of a dilemma, right? You've got, on one hand, do you refund the police? People wanted it defunded. Or do you federalize the police? Or do you just normalize crime and homelessness? They like to bitch about Trump, but they never have any solutions. So here we go.
I am so happy to see that a lot of black people support Trump move to protect their cities. And I would say 98% of the people black people that is, want safe streets. Think about it. When we was growing up, we was able to play in the street. Kickball, dodgeball, tag. We used to congregate in the street, on the sidewalk. You know, that was the thing kids did in the summer in the cities. Now, those same cities have their residents as hostages. And, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people coming out and they support it, you know. And in a tweet I put out a few days ago saying, you notice that you don't see no black people out there protesting. And it's those white liberals, I tell you. It's amazing, but, you know.
Well, it's inconvenient to the narrative. You have to make it look like they're just, I don't know, being screwed over by the authoritarian white police, you racist cops. So, it's a mess. They're doing something about it. And so far, it seems to have good results. I'm not saying that's not a good thing for America to have, you know, militarized police or anything. But if they're friendly, they're not authoritarian, and it's a temporary, just to stop the crime epidemic, and maybe finally do something about the crisis of homelessness everywhere. Tired of seeing that. I don't know. I think it's worth a shot, and we'll see how it goes. But so far, good results. Yeah, it's just, you see stuff like that everywhere. I mean, even when I was in Nevada, you know, Las Vegas had a big area up on the north side of the strip where there's just a giant homeless encampment up through North Las Vegas. And then there's, you know, LA, I saw it all the time. You're going through these areas. Walking street, I might have to go work a gig somewhere, and I got to go park somewhere and then walk to the venue, and there's, you know, got to go under the bridge and walk through the homeless encampment, and it's just like, okay, well, that's just the way things are. Or go through Skid Row and it's just people everywhere. Or the time years ago when I went to San Francisco for a trip, it was just like, this is just, you're in their space. So I've seen plenty of that. DC's got they've had a crime problem for a long time. So it's sad watching these people get their, you know, tents run over with bulldozers, but they were all warned. They called the bluff and they lost. So 300 people arrested in the crime crackdown. And here's Activism Uncensored, the federal takeover of the law enforcement. There's, you know, different perspectives on this.
You guys take pictures and do all that, but that's fine. Like, I don't mind. But can we go do our stuff? Because it's been a kind of like constant interruption. Like
sorry, I just actually couldn't hear you.
No, that's fine. We're doing an outreach thing, and we're not doing enforcement right now. So can we go do that? Like, we had a lot of interruptions, and we want to actually, the places that we're going, just give them privacy, because as far as what we're doing, that's basically.
With all due respect, on a public street, I'm never going to interfere with anything. Okay, but I'm never going to not record something because.
Perfectly fine. I appreciate that. You ready to go? Yeah. All right.
On Friday, a Ring camera captured feds ripped down a banner with anti-ICE and
Anyway, I won't spend too much time on this, but you can find this on Ford Fisher's News to Share. He's a local DC reporter there. This is from Racket News by Matt Taibbi. I mean, this is just talking about the pros and cons of cleaning up DC. So we'll see if they can find some solutions, find a formula, and if this works in DC, maybe they can try it on a temporary basis in some other cities if need be, or maybe they got to refund the police, start rethinking something. So I don't know. I'd be good with that. Speaking of homeless, where's Dean Ryan? Well, that is an interesting question. Who knows? There's always something happening there. Rarely a dull moment with Dean Ryan. Quite the character, and we had many adventures together. But don't know. That is a little too intense at times. But had some fun times. But I don't know if I could handle any more of that. I have been kind of tuned out of that whole crowd there. Although I was very sad to hear about Matthew Short. He died in a tragic house fire, I guess, like last week. That was some terrible news. He was also a good guy. He's a good character. I don't know what to say because I met him 7-8 years ago. So I did meet a lot of interesting characters and had some interesting adventures all over the country. But anyway, I don't know what the latest drama is because you never know with Dean. So you'll have to fill me in. Is he out? You never know. Travels a bit without getting into too much of the details, but interesting experiences. Okay, well, let's move on. So, Trump's DC crackdown, is it endangering the community? No, not so far. It could set a dangerous precedent at some point, but that could also be paranoia, depending on whether you believe Trump is a fascist dictator or not. But the statistics speak for themselves. Anywho, all right, next. MS Now, will it bring the left-wing media back to glory? Just a few quick hitters, and I better call it a day. So here it is. MSNBC rebranded. Sounds like an awareness campaign for sick people because it's called MS Now, which sounds like a charity group raising awareness for multiple sclerosis. Here's the brand. It's pretty lousy. Kind of mailing it in. So it's ironic because just like the chronic autoimmune disorder, watching MSNBC leaves people with symptoms including fatigue and cognitive problems. Certainly does. There's a lot of people out there that have been poisoned with the propaganda from MSDNC, and now they're going to rebrand. I guess they're so toxic, they don't even want to be associated with NBC anymore. They're saying it's still owned by NBC Universal, or at least it has been since, 1996? So we'll be curious to see what they change. I mean, MSNBC is a laughing stock. No. They were talking about, I think, just even getting rid of the channel altogether. I guess they found some other group that's going to buy them out and just switch it up. Be curious to see who they get rid of, who they keep, and who they toss. Maybe they won't do anything. They already had to negotiate with a lot of their hosts to give them pay cuts. You had Rachel Maddow freaking out about all of it while she's collecting her $25 million salary. So... Okay. Changing names won't fix MSNBC's reputation as a left-wing propaganda machine. Exactly. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I don't know exactly when this goes into effect. Yeah, NBC was forced to settle a $30 million defamation lawsuit. And several of the network hosts, Matt O'Hays and Nicole Wallace, no, this is about illegal immigrants in an ICE facility. But yeah, they've been in trouble for a lot of misinformation. And they're getting sued, like Stephanopoulos and others. Yeah, so anyway, cool. Well, we won't be sad about that. We'll go to the next story. Right-wingers, should they stand up for the leftist cancellations like Stephen Colbert? So that's what Kimmel, he was, I guess he was whining about the right not standing up for free speech. Well, if it was a free speech issue, that would be one thing. But when your network is losing $40 million a year and your host isn't funny and he's just a partisan hack, he kind of did this to himself. So otherwise I would, even if I didn't believe in his political speech. If he was just being targeted politically, but he's still on the air. He still has time. It was an announced planned departure, but they couldn't lose any more money. Or maybe it came from USAID. I don't know. But Kimmel here is being misguided because I guess he doesn't want to admit that, their activism is failing. And now people are tuning them out, and they have only themselves to blame. Okay, that's, like I said, quick hitter. Last one, reclassifying marijuana. Will it be a huge political blunder? Here's an article out of the Federalist that I don't agree with. So Trump recently said he's considering downgrading the federal ban on marijuana, and cannabis stocks skyrocketed 25 to 40% on the news. Pot industry had hoped Joe Biden would make this pro-marijuana change, but never expected it from the Republicans. But there are arguments here. Again, the usual old, out-of-touch, religious, conservative, reefer madness talking points. This one, it's with some 21st century twists, saying the marijuana farms are magnets for illegal aliens and also exploiters of forced child labor. But why? Okay, what does that have to do with reclassifying marijuana? So they have it as a Schedule I drug, which basically means it is has no medical use whatsoever, which is not true. So they've had it falsely classified for decades. So they should reclassify it. That would be the right thing to do, to have an honest drug policy. You don't have to like it. You don't have to do it. But be honest about it. It's weird seeing the conservative right trying to fight on this, like a losing cultural issue. They lost upon a long time ago. Now the way they're saying just stupid things about it. So marijuana. So we should not reclassify marijuana because their farms are magnets for illegal aliens. Well, why aren't we cracking down on the farms and getting rid of the illegal aliens? Why don't we just let American citizens, or maybe they can recruit the homeless people who need jobs or somebody and put them on the farms? How about that? There's your solution. So we're going to falsely classify this drug, make it illegal because the farms could be exploiting illegals. I mean, it's just, this is the logic they're trying to use. So the pressure to reclassify, there's illegal, criminal gangs, absolutely. But that's kind of what you're trying to do. You're trying to have legalized areas, so you're taking it away from the black market. So, anywho. So despite the proliferation of crime, much of it by illegal aliens, again, at least they're admitting that. So is it a proliferation of crime because marijuana is becoming, decriminalized? Trump is being pressured to reclassify as the less harmful Schedule 3 drug like steroids or Tylenol with codeine. So currently marijuana is classified as Schedule 1, which is with cocaine that are prohibited for any purpose. But that should not be true. So this reclassification by the federal government would enable marijuana sellers to take tax deductions, such as television and internet advertising. Maybe they're afraid of that. And it is a stronger drug, so they are saying the potency is increased. And some people do go to emergency department visits. So they have to do a better job of perhaps, it's something that people are going to do regardless. They do that with alcohol too. People that are inexperienced with marijuana, or the ones that are taking edibles and they don't know how strong they are, that can get you in serious trouble. But that's not a reason not to, reclassify it. So the arguments don't make sense. Anywho, but there are points that could be regulated, and they should just have an honest. I'm just in favor of having an honest drug policy. How about that? Common sense. They don't want to do that. Anywho, yeah, we're talking about illegal farms that are controlled by Chinese gangs. So why should that be used as an excuse not to reclassify stuff? So anyway, I would disagree with that. They say Trump should not reclassify this dangerous drug. But anywho, again, I think it's out of touch, old talking points, not on point. And I would not agree with that. So last, and we'll wrap this one up here. Right-wingers should stand up for leftist cancellations. No, unless they were politically driven. Reclassifying marijuana will be a huge political blunder. I disagree. I think keeping it as it is makes sense. It's perpetuating a lie. Anywho, Stephen Cold Beer. And grow it in old shopping malls. There you go. I grow it at the old Apache Mall in it's New Brighton, Minnesota. Do you remember that one, Kenneth? Mayor of Marijuanaville. Nice. Roll the fat ones. Yeah, Delta 8 makes you take a good sanity break. Right. It's a drug that can be beneficial, can be used responsibly. And so I don't know why there's this crusade that these old conservatives are fighting against, which is strange. I don't know why anyone cares what other people are doing with their lives. Worry about their own. So I guess we'll just continue to fight on that culture war. So that should be an interesting one, but a worthy battle. Okay, well, I think that's all I've got today. So thank you all, especially Kenneth and Rob, TK Mark. Anybody out there lurking or listening to the replay, please like and subscribe. And we'll be back on Thursday. Usual time. Of course, Toxically Masculine, Tuesday tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Mike Barra, Dr. Brooks Agnew, Trail Boss Steve Doran, and myself. Perhaps the best roundtable on the internet. We'll tackle some of these hot button issues and more. So tune in for that. That would be cool. And yes, Kenneth, I will be in touch on the DM, talking about the music. And that's really all I've got. So thank you all for listening. Have a good one. And we'll see you next time, I suppose. Love you guys, but I've got to run. Here we go. Until next time, take care. Have a great day. We'll check you next time. All right.